Assalamu alaikum, boys. Hope you're all doing okay and that everybody's staying safe during this time. The lesson for today is lesson 6.4. It's on page 181 in your textbook, and it's about units of length, so ways that we measure different objects. Okay, so just remember in life to always do your best, no matter what you try. Always, always put your all into it, and inshallah, you will be successful. The objective here is that you guys learn how to convert different units of measurement. So from kilometers to meters to centimeters to millimeters. So when we talk about units of length, we need to talk about what length is. And length is the measure of one dimension. It measures distance. Okay, so how long something is. And if you remember when we were in class, I was talking about different dimensions. So we have one dimensional, which is like if you had a piece of paper and you drew a line across that paper, you would be able to measure that with one dimension. That's one dimensional. If you were to then add another line and make like a square or a circle or a triangle, that's now two dimensional because you have length and you have width. If you were to build a structure like we did with our straw and tape towers, that would be considered three-dimensional. Okay, so we're just focusing here on one dimension and we're talking about length. Okay, and length can be a whole bunch of different things, right? So it can be how long your desk is, how many hands your desk was, and we did that in class. And then you also did how many footsteps your friend is. So you had your friend lie down on the ground and you walked across to see how many footsteps was the length or the height of your friend. And you can even do one right now, is just seeing how many thumb widths your keyboard is. And I'll actually do that right now. So I've got one. So I have about 20. 20 of my thumbs is my keyboard. And I'm sure if you do that, you'll maybe come up with a different number. And that's the one issue with using these types of units of measurement, is that everybody has different sized feet, everybody has different sized hands, everybody has different sized thumbs. So we can't use these rough measures of length. We need something that's more standardized. And that's why we have things like the centimeter, the meter, and the kilometer. So we'll begin by talking about the centimeter. 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. A centimeter is probably the unit of measurement you've used the most so far. When we were measuring our towers, we measured them in centimeters. When we measured our desks, I think we also used centimeters. And those 30 centimeter rulers in class is probably the tool that you've used the most. You're used to seeing things that are usually measured in centimeters. For example, a pencil, that's about 15 centimeters. And actually, if you want, along with this video, you could find some of these objects and measure them with a ruler and just see how long they are. But typically a pencil is about 15 centimeters. A straw. I remember we measured our straws for our towers, and I think they were about 17 centimeters each. The centimeter is a small and fairly precise unit of measurement. It is 1/100th of a meter. So basically 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. The length of your thumbnail is about a centimeter. Okay. The length of a pen is about 15 centimeters, and a 1 real coin is 2.5 centimeters. Okay. The second unit that we're going to talk about is the millimeter, which is the smallest unit that we're working with. And it's probably going to be the smallest unit you work with for a lot of years, maybe until high school or the end of high school. The millimeter is tiny. It's 1/10 of a centimeter. So basically there's 10 millimeters in every little centimeter. So if you want to think about what a millimeter might be, it's like a pencil tip, you know, or 5 millimeters makes an eraser tip. 20 millimeters is probably a peanut, and that sort of thing. Okay, it's very precise. 10 millimeters equal 1 centimeter. and they're very useful for building things. So a lot of times when you buy tools, they'll tell you the size of the tool in millimeters because you want your tools to be very, very, very specific. Okay, so after this we have the meter, which is 100 centimeters, and what the textbook says is this is the basic unit of length. And the reason they say that is because a lot of things in the world are measured in meters. For example, those big towers that we were talking about were measured in how many meters they were made. So, you know, how many meters high was the clock tower in Mecca, or Burj Khalifa, or these type of towers. They're measured in meters. Um, and an easy way to just give you an example of a meter, it's about half the size of a normal door. And it's also 100 centimeters. So, you know, you could use a meter long stick, which is 100 centimeters, or you could use your 30 centimeter ruler and you would use 3 and 1/3, okay? But it's 100 centimeters. So another example of that is the height of your dinner table, maybe the width of a twin bed, and so on. And the final unit of measurement that we're going to talk about today is the kilometer. Now, the kilometer is usually used for distances very far. Usually, cars are measured. I mean, their distance is measured in kilometers because you wouldn't use a car to travel 1 meter. You know, you usually be going 1,000 meters at a time. On the side here, you guys can see there's an example of different buildings, and they use meters as well as kilometers. So what they have here is that the Shard, which is owned by somebody from Qatar, it's in London, is 306 meters. Okay, and then we have the Mecca clock tower, which is 610 meters, which is 0.61 kilometers. Then we have the Burj Khalifa, which is 828 meters, or 0.828 kilometers. And finally, we have the Kingdom Tower, which they're building in Jeddah, which will be 1 kilometer high, or 1,000 meters high. So other examples of a kilometer are maybe 10 football fields, or if you were to walk for 10 minutes outside, um, and also the Kingdom Tower. Okay. There's a video here, and I'm going to put a link to this video in the description. And if you guys need further clarification, you guys can get it from this video. So just a couple things just to remember. 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter, 100 centimeters equals 1 meter, and 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So these are the main conversions. This is the most important thing to remember. If you are getting confused on the homework, go back to this slide. This will really, really help you. Okay, so now that you have that information, how many millimeters are in 2 centimeters? How many millimeters are in 5 centimeters? How many centimeters are in 30 millimeters? And how many centimeters are in 70 millimeters? So if you want, just pause the video for a second before I give you the answers. But, you know, while you're sitting there, just tell me what you think the answers are. Okay, so yeah, for millimeters, how many millimeters are in 2 centimeters? Well, since in 1 centimeter there are 10 millimeters, in 2 centimeters there will be 20 millimeters. And the same rule applies for 5 centimeters. There will be 50 millimeters in 5 centimeters. And for 30 millimeters, well, okay, we know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So 30 millimeters is going to be equal to 10 centimeters. And in 70 millimeters, there will be 7 centimeters. Easy stuff, okay? Here are your answers. Okay, so just a few more questions. How many centimeters are there in a meter? How many centimeters are in 3 meters? How many meters are in 310 centimeters? And how many meters are in 200 centimeters? So really quickly, I'd like you to pause the video and try to solve those questions. And as well as this last one, Ralph is exactly 2 meters tall. How many centimeters tall is he? So we know that there's 100 centimeters in a meter, and so that in 3 meters there will be 300 centimeters. And 310 centimeters is equal to 3.1 meters. And 200 centimeters will equal 2 meters. So Ralph is 200 centimeters. Okay, you could do these ones on a piece of paper. 35 centimeters is how many millimeters? 4 centimeters is how many millimeters? 80 millimeters is how many centimeters? And 160 millimeters is how many centimeters? Okay. Again, you could continue with these ones. If you want, you can actually write the responses in the comments. So 2 kilometers equals how many meters? 11 kilometers equals how many meters? 2,000 meters equals how many kilometers? And 12,000 meters equals how many kilometers? So we know that 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So 2 kilometers is going to be equal to 2,000 meters. 11 kilometers is going to be equal to 11,000 meters. 2,000 meters is going to be equal to 2 kilometers. And if you look, that's the same question that we have up here, right? It's the exact same thing there. So 2 kilometers there equals 2,000 meters, and 2,000 meters equals 2 kilometers. And 12,000 meters is going to equal 12 kilometers, while 11 kilometers equals 11,000 meters. Okay, so this is just important to keep in mind. It's a small table to help you remember. 1 kilometer, a kilo means 1,000. So 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, right? So kilo means 1,000, and meter means meter. So 1,000 meter, okay? A meter, meter is just an old Latin word to mean measure. So that's why they say it's the standard unit of measurement. A meter means measure. Okay, so 1 meter is equal to 1,000 centimeters. So we'll go into centimeters. Centi means hundredth. So we know that there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, it means 100th of a meter, and a millimeter means thousandth. So there is a thousand millimeters in 1 meter. It's a thousandth of a meter and 1/10 of a centimeter. All right, boys. So that concludes the lesson for today. What I would like you guys to do is work on the pages 185 to 187 in your textbook, and I will be checking in with you guys and expecting emails with your responses. I will have another lesson up tomorrow about the word problems on page 186 and 187. All right. So have a nice day. Stay safe, and I hope you have a good time getting through it. Take care.